Hello and welcome to this week's session of our series of conversations with women of significance in STEM. And today I have the pleasure of meeting with Jennifer Bourgeois. Have I said your name correctly, Jennifer?
Yes, that's perfect.
Welcome, welcome. And Jennifer, you're from McKinney in Texas.
That is correct.
Yes, and you started out life as a pharmacist. And now you have taken a very exciting path of the entrepreneur. So today I'd love to hear a little bit about your story and let's go exploring with some of the secrets for success that you have used to create the lifestyle and the business that is really working for you.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So perhaps if you could start with telling us a little bit about what you do and who you serve, and I guess a helicopter view of how you came to be doing it.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to be here. So I actually still work full-time in community pharmacy. My heart is for people. My heart is to serve others. And that was apparent to me at a very young age. I've always been drawn to service. And so in deciding a career, I knew I wanted it to be something that I could connect with people and help and serve. But I also knew that God had gifted me with intelligence. And so I wanted to honor that. Science is always something that I've been very passionate about. And so pharmacy was a great fit for me. It was a way that I could honor my gifts and also serve and give back. And so I started in pharmacy 10 years ago. I've always been in community because that's where my heart is for people.
Yeah. So just going back to your love of science, because as you know, we have a huge shortage of women in STEM, and there's a big push globally to encourage more girls to take up science subjects and then to stay in those careers long enough to be then going into the senior executive and board positions, because the gender disparity is really, the needle hasn't moved at all. So what was it about science that you first recall being excited about?
I was most excited about science, in physiology, anatomy. I knew, and I think that again just went back to my heart to help people. And I felt like, okay, if I knew I was really intrigued by that area of science, but I also loved chemistry. I mean, here I am as a pharmacist, we have such a significant education background in chemistry, biochemistry, organic chemistry. And so I really was just attracted to those subjects. And like you said, not many women are, just really get excited about chemistry and physiology, but I did. And then I think a lot of it was too in my heart, knowing how I could pair that with the service kind of industry of healthcare. So I really always had a vision for healthcare in my education.
Yeah, and that's the helping people, being of service, and then the understanding of how things work at that anatomy and physiology level.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Absolutely. So tell us more about what sort of challenges you faced along the way.
Yeah, so I feel like, just like you had mentioned with women in STEM positions, sometimes we aren't aware of opportunities. We enter these professional jobs. Me as a pharmacist, I went into community pharmacy, drawn there, felt very fulfilled there, but also just I wasn't aware of what was out there. And I think for me, some of it was higher power, just me believing in something bigger than myself, and just really exploring my purpose and place for impact. It just I started reading. I started, kind of finding mentors out there that I felt like were talking about opportunities. Even though I'm proud of my background, and I'm really proud of the training and education I have in my degree. So I never wanted to dishonor that. And, I never wanted to just like jump into something else completely, but I really was just searching for how can I take what I have and where I am, but kind of take it further, expand on it, reach more people,
like almost
grow my impact.
Yeah. So it was, yes, I love what I do and I want more. Not,
yes,
I don't love what I do, or what I do isn't good enough. And
absolutely.
This I think, Jennifer, is that essence of a calling I'm hearing about.
Yes.
You. That is
100%.
Yeah. And it's beautiful how you've expressed that so almost gently but firmly. Right. So
Yes.
you're not dithing the traditional role or path, because often, it's like doctors, nurses, pharmacists, healthcare workers will often take that first degree and stay in their field for their entire career, because it's a growing area of, we need more people in those fields.
Yes.
So the idea of mentors. So how did you choose your mentors? I'm always curious to see what was it that you're looking for in mentors?
Yeah, I remember I heard a podcast, and I wish I could remember who said it. I just remember what they said. But, they said just being clear on where you're going. And so having that vision for the next step, find someone who's there, find someone who has found that dream job, an entrepreneur. And you also need mentors in different areas of your life. So you can't just have like a business mentor and expect that person to be able to speak to your faith walk, if that makes sense. So I actually was able to find multiple mentors in different areas of my life, all helping me grow into the woman I felt like I needed to grow into, to be able to continue to take the steps towards that vision and that end goal that I had to get really clear about. And so, yes, I had, and I feel like too, there are so many amazing mentors out there who put free content out all over, media streams. Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Brendon Burchard. I mean, there's so many of those amazing, successful gurus that continue to and so I would soak up all of that as well.
So personal development, professional development, clearly a big values for you. And I guess when you talk about your vision and having more impact in the world, tell us a little bit about what that looks like. Like, how do you know you're having impact?
Yeah. So, as I said, my job day to day is a pharmacist, and my impact happens at the counter. And so I'm really able to educate, connect, support my patient at the counter. I just felt, like you mentioned earlier, that calling. I felt the calling to go beyond the counter. I felt the calling to be able to reach more people, not just in my community, but in the world. And that's the beauty of where we are now with technology and all these media streams. So I just felt like I wanted to go beyond the counter. So I started my brand Impact Beyond the Counter. And my vision is to be able to reach more people in regards to, pharmacy is obviously dear to my heart, but health. So I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics. I've always been extremely passionate about health. And now working in my role in the pharmacy, I feel like I'm very knowledgeable and keyed in to public health issues. So we're talking diabetes, obesity, people that struggle in those areas that I can really help educate. And so my goal is to be able to provide more education, more support for people in those areas, just to help them be successful in their health journey.
Yeah. Yeah, Australia's not far behind the US in terms of this growing epidemic of obesity, diabetes, heart disease. So, yeah, what a great name, Impact Beyond the Counter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so so tell us more about that. So that is your entrepreneur path alongside your work in the pharmacy.
Yeah, so I was able to, over the last few years, develop a health coaching program. I was able to partner with a nutrition company to offer products through my e-commerce site. So I had several different businesses, if you will, working together to allow me to have this impact. I also do some speaking in different areas. And then we have a nonprofit. My family started a nonprofit a few years ago. And so I felt like I had so many different things going, and I felt like I needed an identity for myself. And like I was talking about, having that clear vision. And that's kind of why I developed a brand, so that I could grow, but I also had a place to pivot. And so as I am expanding and continue to have bigger reach, I can grow from that place of impact beyond the counter.
And that sounds like a very considered and sensible approach to entrepreneurship as well, right? We hear a lot of disgruntled people in their corporate roles or traditional businesses jumping ship and expecting the to make money on the internet overnight, because there's certainly a lot of spruikers who make big promises about how quickly money can be made. If you buy my course, and you can be an overnight success. So I'm really appreciating your considered approach here, Jennifer, in terms of doing your full-time role and putting everything you have into that as well, while you grow your entrepreneur business that ultimately, will replace that pharmacy income, and you'll have choices then to decide where you spend your time. But that makes you very busy. So tell us a bit about your time management strategy.
Yeah, like you said, time is our only limited resource. And so it takes a lot of planning. You're absolutely right. I probably failed there many times in the beginning, failing forward, but just it was took a lot of learning for me to figure out really what worked for me, what worked for my family life, because obviously I am a mom and a wife, and those are the two most important roles that I have. And so I always wanted to honor that and that time and protect that. Full-time work, that's about 40 hours a week. And so I just had to get very intentional with planning, so I would get up a little bit earlier, and just be also with that time, be very intentional, because so in the beginning I would kind of fall down the rabbit hole of, I got up an hour earlier, but then an hour went by and I'm like, what did I do for an hour? So for me to be able to grow this alongside family and alongside my full-time job, it has definitely taken very intentional planning.
And in terms of, I guess the things that hold you back, I'm not hearing that there's I'm not hearing there's too much of a saboteur in there, Jennifer.
No.
Tell us your secret around that, because I'm sure you do have your down moments, and self-doubt will creep in like it does for most of us, but you have a really calm, an incredible sense of calm about you. That's
thank you.
It's like you're talking about things that often cause a lot of angst for people. How do I fit it all in? How can I be my own woman and create my own identity and be me and be a mum and be, a wife and be, my full-time career and and I want to do I want to be an entrepreneur. It's like there's a lot of things you want, but I'm not hearing angst. I'm hearing an incredible sense of, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it is faith. And I have a very strong faith. I feel like I've said this a few times. I hope you don't mind me saying it again, but I just feel a calling on my life. I feel that this is bigger than me. I feel like that, I think I've just gotten clear on my purpose. And I feel like that is a struggle for a lot of us women, is we doubt and we question our purpose and our calling. But then once you are just clear on what, who you're called to be and where you're going, I think that is where, for me, that gives me that confidence, and it does give me such a peace, because so often I feel like I'm not just working for myself, but I'm working for the people that'll come behind me. I feel like I'm, hoping to build a business that can create legacy for my family. And like I said, the impact, that's so big for me, because for me, success is significance. Success is impact. Success is, I don't think of success in terms of money or fame or look at me. It's very much about other people and being able to create that impact. So.
Yeah, making a positive difference in the lives of others. And
Absolutely.
And like you, I have a passion for nutrition and optimum health as well. And, when we see that transformation in ourselves and others, it's so heartwarming, isn't it? Because health is the key and the core to everything. I mean, what's the point of being wealthy financially if you're crippled, in your health?
Absolutely.
And I guess, if you were to look at the type of training you've had versus the upbringing or the values and beliefs that you have clearly from your family background, what would you say have been your biggest learnings, the things you've learned to do that did not come easy for you?
I would say, so I actually grew up in a small town, and I have always been extremely driven. I was just by nature very studious, but not everything came easy. And so I did learn early on as a child, that it takes practice, it takes hard work, it takes consistency to find success in different areas. And so my parents were both, I would say, entrepreneurs in a way. My mom is involved in a family business that was started a few generations ahead of her. And my dad was able to start his own practice and, grew that and found success there. And so I did have that growing up. And I think small town too just gives you, it does really give you a feeling of support and encouragement, because you all seem to rally around each other. And so, yeah, I would say that just my childhood upbringing did show me kind of what it looked like to work hard, be consistent, put a lot of time and practice into the things that you wanted to be successful in. And as you fell forward, because there were so many things that I did try that I wasn't very good at. And I kind of had to look at my heart, is this something that I really enjoy and I want to pursue and I want to push and I want to keep practicing to get better at? Or is this just not my thing and I want to move on and find something else? So.
Yeah, the ability to let go, the ability to have that honest reflection and not be too attached to the outcome. Or, yes, we'll always get disappointed with things, but how much better is it to really do that ask yourself that question, you know, how important is this to me? Do I really love it? Or am I better off letting this go and opening the door for something else? And I think that's a really important skill that is, it's so important for entrepreneurship, but all career progression. And I wonder sometimes whether we stay stuck or stay on one track for too long. And again, this is where asking for help, allowing the community to rally around you, looking for those mentors. I heard you say that also tells me that you're very coachable and you're very open and you're hungry and you process information quickly and you can multitask. And you can have multiple plates spinning, right? Because that's the other challenge we see, isn't it? That we women will take on too much and suddenly we're in burnout. So tell us, tell us about if you were talking to your younger self, say 15 years ago, what do you wish you, or what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
I think I would have loved to been aware of these opportunities 15 years ago and just had the confidence in myself and in my journey then that I do now. I think definitely being aware, confidence.
So you're saying you would rather, it would have been great to be aware that there are a lot more entrepreneurial pathways available to you. Like when you're considering what area to study or what career to be. So more focus on entrepreneur paths earlier on.
Absolutely. And like you said earlier in the interview about STEM and women and opportunities and leadership, so much of that is just lack of awareness. You know, we as women, we come out of school and, you know, we get this job offer and we think, okay, this is it. And like you said, we sometimes get stuck in that position. And a lot of it, I think, is we're not aware that there are other opportunities, and we don't always have the confidence in ourselves that we can go for it and we can do it and we can achieve it. And so sometimes, like you said, mentorship, personal development, all of those things have been critical in my journey to where I am now versus 15 years ago.
Yeah. So, you know, having someone backing you while you're learning to back yourself. And
yes, that's a great way to say it.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think often too that that the women and people generally who take the technical study areas in STEM often are categorized or are quieter. They're often more introverted. And again, that's a gross generalization, but the nerdy people, you know, behind the scenes, as opposed to the arts and the people that are, you know, and in the more the arts and law and so forth. And I think this is a big area of work that is teaching technical people the communication skills when they need it. But you seem to be blessed with both sides.
Yes, thank you.
That you're clearly a very strong communicator, and you're very clear, and you're very structured in how you think and how you express yourself. And is this a natural trait for you, or has this come through your development?
Development. I was the shyest young girl. I know it's hard to believe that, but I remember hearing stories growing up, people in the community, you know, and I was the child that would hide behind my mom's leg. If someone tried to speak to me, I would just, you know, ball up behind her and kind of hide and peek out. And I think as a child, I'm so grateful that my parents they didn't push me, but they just continued to give me opportunities to grow and gain confidence. I really found a passion for dance as a teenager, and that was great for my confidence. And then just continue to push through that and find that purpose. And I think once you are clear on you find that purpose, it gets you so excited. And like I said, I'm just really strong in my faith, and I just knew that I wouldn't be given anything that I wasn't equipped to take on. And I think so much of where I am now is being equipped to handle the what's before me, and being equipped to kind of walk in this calling that I feel like is on my life. And so but yeah, personal development has been key in building my confidence and making my mindset really strong.
And so, and what how have you undertaken that personal development? Has it been courses or conferences, or how have you fulfilled your personal development education?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's absolutely a mix of it. I've been to in-person conferences. I have taken courses, paid courses, free courses, podcasts. I have a commute into work. And so a lot of times on my commute, instead of listening to the radio, I will listen to a podcast. Or also a lot of times when I'm at home, I'm not a big TV watcher. And so if my kids are asleep and I'm folding laundry or washing dishes, I will have a personal development video of some sort on. And that's been key for me, and consistently pouring that into myself and finding people that speak to me and speak to where I am in life, my season, my journey, my goals, my vision. Just finding people that are able to kind of fill my cup, if you will, and also teach me. Like you said, I've always been a very nerdy. I'm that, I love to learn. I'm a student of life forever. I love to learn. And I continue to just hunger for knowing more. And so that's one thing that I value with personal development.
The hunger for knowing more, being more, giving more. And Amen. I think that's the innateness that's there. And then that's what then creates the self-determined grit I'm seeing, and the persistence and the consistency and the openness and the love, Jennifer. There's a gentleness and a calmness and a love that emanates from you.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful, and strong, really strong. And one question around purpose. A lot of women I meet really struggle with articulating their purpose. And often I find that when they can't say exactly what that purpose is, that's what keeps them stuck. But something you said was about, look at the direction you're going, decide on what direction you want to go, and find people who are already there. They are people that are worth, that can become your mentors. And so I'd love to hear what your view is on how clear you need to be on purpose, or is it enough just to have that sense of direction to get going?
I think if you have direction, I think that you can start to take the steps, absolutely. But I think if you don't have a clear purpose, you are going to stop. Like you said, you're going to get stuck. You're going to give up. You're going to veer off on the wrong path. That's going to take you in a different direction. So I think definitely being crystal clear on your goals. And it doesn't mean that a lot of where I am definitely looks different than where I thought I would be, in the sense of I'm still in the same direction, and I'm still going towards that end goal, but I have been rerouted at times for the better. And so I think just being clear on where you're going, but being flexible in the journey, and knowing that there are going to be people that are going to come into your life that are going to be able to guide you a little bit better than maybe you were guiding yourself, or, so I think just being open to the journey looking a little bit different, but being clear on the destination and kind of where you're going.
Yes, there was a saying I remember: put your goals in, was it goals in concrete and plans in sand? Because that's that rerouting that we hear about. And that's a lovely way to put it, that you've been rerouted a few times. Because again, what I'm also hearing, Jennifer, is the language that you're using with yourself. And, because when we use really harsh words, obviously our words create our reality. And you have a really constructive way of describing the things that haven't gone so well, or the things that have disappointed you. And I think that is a skill too that can help us not get so lost and stuck in when we fall off the rails, or when we get rerouted, as it were. So
and that took a lot of practice. Right?
Yeah, and we're not done yet. I think there's more, more in the chain coming, right?
Yes.
So in terms of where you're taking your career over the next 5 years, what sort of support do you see yourself looking for next, or what do you need to be able to create more impact over these next 5 years?
Yeah, so I feel like for me, I'm looking to connect with other entrepreneurs, pharmacists, just with my vision of impact beyond the counter. I would love to be able to inspire other pharmacists to go beyond the counter, to traditional pharmacy is absolutely necessary and needed, and many of us show up there because that's where our hearts are, to help and serve. But I would love for other pharmacists to be aware of this opportunity to be able to give and serve and grow outside of just that pharmacy setting. So I think for me, finding those people that I can grow with. And also I do have a desire to lead and help other women to do the same thing. Because like I said earlier, I just think there's such a lack of awareness in STEM, absolutely, jobs that, there's opportunities for entrepreneurship. We don't have to always work for someone else. We can, kind of pave our own way. And so I think that would be it, just being able to grow with other people.
And if people want to connect with you and learn more about your nutrition and dietetics, and how you create impact beyond the counter, that is such a great name, and it's a great way of leveraging your your first career as well. It's wonderful. So where do you connect with people, Jennifer?
I'm on all social media platforms, so Facebook, Jennifer Bourgeois, Instagram, I'm Dr. Jen Bourgeois, and then I'm also on LinkedIn as Dr. Jennifer Bourgeois, which is how we met. So.
It is indeed. And what would be some parting words of advice to to women coming through and looking at pharmacy or medical science or healthcare careers? What would be your advice to them to help them get moving?
Yeah, I think just listen to your heart and your why are you in healthcare? Is it for the people? Is it for the impact? And if that is true, just really allowing yourself time to think about. I think so often we we think we need to know today where we're going. We think our purpose is like clear and it's just going to come in the mailbox and we're going to go grab it and it's going to say, oh, do this. But we really need to reflect. We sometimes need time to just be able to make a list. I mean, I'm such a pen and paper gal. You know, I love to get out pen and paper and just write, and just being clear on who you are. Because if you try to be someone you're not, it's gonna show. And so I think, you know, just being true to who you are as a person. What are your gifts? You know, we all have different gifts, and finding a way to, like you said, kind of leverage your heart and what you want to, how you want to serve the community with your gifting, and knowing that there are so many of us out here that have been there and would love to support you and would love to encourage you. I could probably talk for 30 minutes just about like a plan and how to and steps I took. And I would love to be able to share that personally with other women who are even just thinking about, you know, what could I do? What, you know, what is my purpose? Do I have a calling? Because yes, we all do. And yes, we all have purpose. And just give yourself time to step into it. Give yourself time to reflect and find that clarity. Because sometimes it just takes time to find that clarity in your vision.
Thank you. And it does, and it continues to emerge and morph. And yes, and this is where, again, it is possible to carve out that time to do it, even as a busy mum and a busy wife, and to have, you know, stuff on your plate. What I'm hearing is that this time to give yourself, to understand yourself and articulate your gifts, your natural, the things that you love to do and are good at doing, and to help that craft your decisions around your career path. How important that is to our well-being and our sense of meaning of why we're here. And I think you demonstrate that really clearly, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
And even in a short time, you've shared a lot of gifts with us today, and I really value that, and I look forward to sharing the journey of your next chapter as you create more impact beyond the counter. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure.